is going to be upwards of 10 feet, and that is not survivable. South of it is where we see the devastating storm surge into areas that are extremely vulnerable to storm surge, and that is the Tampa Bay area. 10 to 15 feet underwater, because you've got all of this water from the Gulf of Mexico piling into the bays and the inlets, and this is a worst-case scenario.
Pastor Lewis, Auntie, Dan Berg, Brian, and Lisa. That is literally you guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I am Ty Smith. I know I'm just I'm not gonna edit this. You're watching my channel, Modern Renaissance Man, and I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to view my content. Make sure you follow me on all the platforms you see above and the ones below, and also clicking this like button is how this content can consistently be recommended to you, and it puts it out there in the YouTube algorithm. All right. Also, folks, don't forget to double check and make sure that you still are subscribed to the channel. I have no time to go through all the Patreon stuff because I'm trying to really get this message out here. I appreciate the bravery of some of you guys trying to ride this thing out. Some of my family members down there, Auntie and all y'all. And then also Pastor Lewis, Dan Berg, Lisa, Brian. Family is really worried about y'all. Pastor Lewis, I'm worried about y'all now because I am in contact with your daughter, Mr. Berg. Now you have me worried about y'all as well. You guys probably are seeing the news just as well as I am, but can you imagine right now hearing what I'm about to show you guys right now? Can you imagine being in my position where I'm at right now? I know I got a spot in Florida, but look, I'm not there. But can you imagine being up in an area that we know that is guaranteed safety right now in the Midwest, up north? If you up north right now, can you imagine me being your family and I'm seeing that what's about to hit y'all as a guarantee is what you about to watch right now?
Millions of Americans need now to brace for Hurricane Milton. This is round 2 during a suddenly violent hurricane season. Tampa, Florida is facing unsurvivable conditions, and we know from 12 days ago with Helene that forecasters mean it. Now, we pray that it's going to go off course and not hit any populated areas, but you've got to be ready. The storm remains a Category 4. It has been a 5 along the way toward the United States and will likely return to some 160 to 180 mile per hour winds being carried by a Cat 5. President Biden is set to speak at any moment after a briefing that he's receiving by FEMA officials. And of course, that's critical because there's all sorts of talk about what FEMA can do and what it hasn't done for Hurricane Helene victims, and potentially could be facing more people to help by the end of this week. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Officials have ordered mandatory evacuations now for people in a dozen Florida counties. 5.5 million people in Florida living along the Gulf Coast must leave the area immediately. Let's watch.
We are leaving. This is the first time, in 12 years that we will be leaving for a storm, but we are evacuating about 11 miles inland. Just can't take any chances after seeing what Helene did. And Helene was 100 miles offshore.
Well, you heard it. A lot of people are starting to prepare for the worst, and they're doing it early. 4 million people live in the 6 counties surrounding Tampa Bay. Some live in mobile homes and RVs, especially vulnerable to severe weather. Florida Senator Marco Rubio posted this. Several years ago, I asked the National Hurricane Center to show me what the worst-case storm hitting Florida would look like. What they showed me back then is almost identical to the Milton forecast now. Again, that's Senator Rubio of Florida. Fox team coverage now. Madison Scarpino is in Banner Elk, North Carolina. Dana Marie McNichols is in Miami Beach, Florida. First, though, let's go to senior meteorologist Janice Dean in the Fox Weather Center. Janice.
Harris, we just got the 11 a.m. advisory. They bumped up those winds to 150 mile per hour sustained winds. And yesterday we had an unbelievably strong hurricane at 180 mile per hour sustained winds. It is going to weaken a little bit as it approaches the west coast of Florida, but the concern is the storm surge. That's going to stay the same. Even if we're talking about a borderline Category 3, Category 4 hurricane when it makes impact, the storm surge is going to be upwards of 10 feet, and that is not survivable in some of these areas. So that's why you're seeing language like catastrophic and please evacuate, because you will not survive a 10 to 15-foot storm surge. We are going to potentially see a little more strengthening, but I think that this is what we're going to have, a Category 4, Category 3 making landfall. It's going to interact with a trough. That is what's steering this storm. North of the storm is where we're going to get the heavy rainfall. We could see upwards of a foot. South of it is where we see the devastating storm surge into areas that are extremely vulnerable to storm surge, and that is the Tampa Bay area. 10 to 15 feet underwater, because you've got all of this water from the Gulf of Mexico piling into the bays and the inlets, and this is a worst case scenario, and that's indeed what the track is saying. Now, we look at places like Fort Myers, up to 10 feet. That's also going to be devastating for them. Hurricane force winds, at least a Category 3, 110 miles per hour for a duration of hours as it crosses over the Florida peninsula. Still seeing a hurricane for Orlando up towards Daytona Beach, upwards of a foot of rainfall. But the real takeaway here, Harris, is the Tampa Bay area needs to brace for catastrophic storm surge. That is the push of the ocean in towards these bays and inlets. Tampa Bay is the most susceptible city in the U.S. to withstand that kind of storm surge.
All right, two things. One, and I'm looking for rays of hope in all of this. I heard you say that what we saw with 180 mile an hour winds yesterday when this was a Cat 5 likely will not return.
Correct.
That it's actually going to weaken now. And so
Yes.
that is good news in this update, that we're not going to go from a Cat 4 to a Cat 5, likely down to a Cat 3 as it makes its way.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Hurricane Katrina, almost 20 years ago, was a Category 5. It made landfall as a 3 with a 30-foot storm surge. So do not pay attention to the category.
Okay.
Yes, it was a very strong storm in the Gulf of Mexico, but it carries with it a devastating storm surge. That does not change as the category goes down.
All right, real quick question. From what we just saw with Helene, I'm looking for the reason why it stayed on land and stayed so powerful for so long. Was that because it was a bigger storm when it hit? What are they looking for here? Because you said it's going to remain a Cat 3 for quite some time, could even cross the state.
It's going to cross the state. It's still going to be a hurricane. But, you know, I was listening to Governor DeSantis earlier on Fox and Friends. The state of Florida can withstand a Category 3, Category 2, Category 1 hurricane, the winds. We're still going to see power outages. We're still going to see over a foot of rainfall. But it's the storm surge into the vulnerable area here along the west coast, the Gulf Coast. And that is because of the topography, very shallow. So all of that water has to go somewhere. If this was anywhere else, a 10 to 15-foot storm surge could be withstood. This can't.
Yeah, it's got a lot of water already on it. The Everglades, all of that area, it's all water.
Yes, and a 2-foot rain surplus already for this vulnerable area. So flooding is going to be a huge concern, and freshwater flooding can also kill people as well.
All right, so a lot of information in this latest update, some of it good, all of it pointing to the fact that people must take cover and leave where there are mandatory evacuations.
Absolutely.
Janice, thank you very much. Floridians are preparing for what's coming on the heels of Hurricane Helene. And some communities have not even finished cleaning up all the debris in their areas. And again, it's been 12 days. Tampa's mayor with a dire warning.
This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Dana Marie McNichol is on the ground in Miami Beach. Dana.
Harris, a strong message from that Tampa mayor, but it's true. Florida officials, this is the time, they're saying. Evacuate if you're told to do so. Be ready. Now, big cities like Miami and Fort Lauderdale, they're not in the direct path of Milton, but we have a tropical storm warning, flood watches. That's why I'm here where sandbags are being distributed today with the city of Miami Beach. But you know what? It's quiet this morning, a couple cars at a time. That's not really the case for what's happening up north. Our friends in Lakeland, Florida, where they had to wait for hours for sandbags, cars sneaking around the parking lot. It did close around 5:45 last night. Some cars did not even make it to the front of the line in time. In Tampa, grocery store shelves are empty where residents were told to evacuate even yesterday, get on the road. Finding gas has been a challenge for so many. One couple went to 6 gas stations before they found anything.
God help us all. I feel bad. People who already got destroyed is gonna, hopefully they didn't already redo stuff and it's gonna happen again.
Now, Florida has deployed over 300 dump trucks that they are continuing to work 24/7, picking up that debris already from Hurricane Helene. Now, these are the largest evacuation numbers we've seen since Hurricane Irma, where nearly 7 million people took to the roads. DeSantis urging people to move today.
You can evacuate tens of miles. You do not have to evacuate hundreds of miles.
And he also said this morning that there will be evacuation centers set up all along evacuation routes. We see Tropicana Field where the Rays play. They have hundreds of cots ready for displaced people. And he even mentioned this morning that Florida is working with hotels to keep prices low, make sure they're not price gouging. Harris, we know this is such a difficult time for families and people here in Florida, praying that it does not come to the worst.
Yeah, like I was saying, can you imagine that? Day by day, minute by minute, night by night, can't sleep. Got to watch TV all day until you fall asleep because they're sitting there worried about y'all. Pastor Lewis, what are y'all doing? You and your church, what are y'all doing? I get it. We're going to pray. We're going to pray. They're telling you. Okay, see, I don't know if y'all know this. There was this story, and y'all heard it before. And it literally is about something like this. People got a warning that a flood was going to come. Say, you know what? God is going to save me. Well, the water came in. Somebody came by in a pickup truck, one of those monster trucks, going through the water. Hey, you want to get a ride? Person, nope, God's going to save me. The water got up towards the dang top of the house. The person sitting there on top of their roof. Somebody comes by in the canoe. Hey, get on the canoe. The water's coming in. Oh, no, God's going to save me. Next thing you know, the water is on the roof. They're standing there in the water. Somebody comes by in a speedboat. Hey, come on, get in. Nope, God's going to save me. The water is above the house now, at the person's knees, on top of the house. Helicopter comes by. Do your ladder ride. Come on, grab the ladder, grab the ladder. Nope, God's going to save me. That person woke up in heaven. What's going on? You're in heaven, my child. What do you mean I'm in heaven? I called for you to save me. God said, I sent the monster truck. I sent the canoe. I sent the speedboat. I sent the helicopter. What more would you want from me? My point is, you're getting a warning right now. These people in this video said it's unsurvivable. It's going to be, because y'all are right there on the bay. Dan, Brian, Lisa, y'all are right there on the bay. 10 to 15 foot surges? Now, I know that y'all house is off the ground. Like mine was too. Mine was about 4 feet off the ground. But if somebody's telling me that it's going to be a 10 to 15 foot surge, 4 feet off the ground, 10 feet, that means it's going to be 6 feet inside the house. But 15 feet of a water, and this water is not going to go out there and then recede back a lot of times, because what I'm being told, when it goes inland, there's nowhere for the water to go a lot of times. Not get on the ocean. We see the water go up and then it recedes back. But that water is going to go inland. And then if it wants to come and flow back, it means you're going to get hit twice with it. I would not mess around with this. I know you guys want to ride this out, but I'm telling you right now, again, just think about what it's doing to other people. Other people who's worried about y'all day in, day out, minute by minute, hour by hour, can't get any sleep because the only thing they have in their mind is that they might have to come there, and if they do come to visit, they're going to have to bury you. If you can't, that's even if you can be found, if that. I didn't take no chances when they hit Panama City, and it ravished it. I mean, Panama City got tore up. The church I went to down there, you look it up, Central Pentecostal Ministries, got tore up. The place that I actually worked at, one of the spots that I did some therapy in at the time, it was called the Healthplex. It's not even there anymore. I wouldn't play no games with this. So anyway, nevertheless, we still are going to be praying, but I would just hope that y'all would just get out there. I know you say maybe traffic. Go late at night, get the gas and everything like that. Just go. I don't care if you got to go 2 o'clock in the morning to go get the gas, but go north. That way at least you won't have all these people who are in the comforts of their home and safe right now, worried, sick, and worried to death about y'all. Anyway, shout out to the nurses who gave me this information to put this down there. Also, Pastor Lewis, y'all, I'm going to keep on saying it. I hope y'all do turn out to be okay, but y'all are getting that warning right now. I do not want any of y'all to wake up in heaven asking how come God didn't save y'all. All right, folks, let me know what y'all think of this by putting in the comments below after this video. Don't forget, if you want to see the next video that I will be doing in chronological order, most likely it's going to be up here. Things that I do as a variety will be down here. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing, and most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are going to be in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.